Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Fallon and today I'm going to be working on another murder at Yellowstone quilt block and talking a little bit about the chapters provided so far with the murder mystery story that goes along with it. So I'm on month 3 of this block of the month and murder mystery novel story, and it has been interesting so far. The first block, if you remember, I didn't really like the way it looked too much, and I thought about maybe changing up the colors and maybe liking it a little bit more. I haven't done that yet, and I haven't completely decided. I want to see how more of the blocks look to kind of decide if that's something I should do. I really liked block 2 a lot more. It was kind of more my style, and I think this block I will like this month a lot more as well. It is kind of different this time because the size of the block is completely different as the others, and we're going to be making 3 this time. So you can kind of see here, we're making 3 smaller blocks this time, but I do like that the instructions let you know how they'll be oriented on the quilt, so how they'll be turned, so that if you are using directional fabric, you know how to place it so it'll look right for you on the quilt. I like that touch that they added on. This month also gives 2 different instructions for the block. One for if you want to cut them as half square triangles, and one if you're comfortable cutting them as flying geese. I think that's really nice because I know a lot of us struggle with flying geese, and half square triangles might be easier. I actually ended up doing half square triangles because I have a reading problem sometimes when it comes to instructions, and the first set of instructions was for half square triangles. I didn't read through everything first, and so I made all my cuts for the instructions at the very beginning, which was for half square triangles, and then on page 2 it has option 2, which is flying geese. So that is why I'm going to be working through the half square triangles, and it's fine. I'm comfortable doing either, but I just wanted to let you know that that's why I'm doing the half square triangles. And this month also has another added bonus. You can add applique to this block to kind of like make it look more like a set of flowers attached by a stem and has leaves on it and all that. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do that. I honestly think the block looks better with it. Applique is just not my favorite. I think it'll be fairly easy, so I might do it as an add-on at some point. It just probably won't be in this video here. So yes, this is a lot at the very beginning, but I do want to touch on one more thing, and that is the story so far. So I did finish chapter 1, 2, and 3, so I am completely caught up on the story. The one issue that I'm having with the story so far is that we're only on chapter 3, which is fine, but because it's so spread out, I feel like the story hasn't really started yet, that it hasn't gotten into the mystery. And I feel like I should be farther in it because it has been over such a long time period. I mean, it's been 3 months and we're still kind of getting to know a lot of the characters, and it's understandable because we're only on chapter 3, but it's taken so long to just get to chapter 3. Typically I will read a book in 2 or 3 days. If it's a book that I want to read, I will sit down and I read it a lot. It's really rare for me to not have finished a book after a full week. So having this so spread out is really kind of making me bored of reading it, and we're not that far in because I've forgotten about it by the time I get the email that I have another chapter in a block because I have so much other stuff going on. I don't think that's the story's fault because I actually think the story is quite enjoyable. When I get the next one and sit down and read it, I'm like, oh yeah, that person, and you know, I kind of remember it, but it's kind of a weird feeling for me personally that, you know, we're just getting these small segments scattered across the time. I think it probably would make more sense for me to save all the chapters, and when it gets close to the last block, kind of read through everything at once. But I think I'm going to keep reading it each time I get it, because I think as it gets farther into the book and a little more interesting while I'm trying to figure out the mystery, that feeling will kind of change on it being a little slow. But I still really love the idea of this murder mystery quilt along. So I'm trying to be patient with it. That's what I'll say. So with all that said, I'm sorry this was really, really long-winded at the beginning, but I know last month when I did the sewing part, I hadn't read the chapter yet. So I wanted to kind of touch on that part of it as well. It's really well written. The writing is really, really good. So it isn't something like, it's well done, I guess I should say. All the grammar, nothing bothers me on that aspect. So yeah, there we go. I'm going to jump in and show you the cuts we have this month, and I'll kind of work through sewing it, and you can see that, and we'll take a look at the block when it's finished. So here are all my cuts. We have larger square here, and then a ton of smaller background in green. So it's just going to be two tones, just green and white. And then I'll be sewing these into half square triangles, different triangles along the way. So, so first we're going to start with the 3-inch squares, which I believe is this one, and we're going to place them right sides together. And we're going to do that with all of them. So we'll place the 3-inch triangles right side together, and what we're going to do is stitch around the entire perimeter on all of them. So right sides together. I'm going to get all of these ready, and then we'll meet at the sewing machine, and then I'll show you the cutting on these. All right, so you can see I have, this will be how one of the blocks looks when it's finished. So I need to sew these together and these together, and then add one of the flowers onto here, this one after it's sewn onto the big block, and then sew it all together. So this is how one of the block will look when it's finished. So I almost have everything finished to make all three, but I have a few more cuts to make. I need to make 4 more half square triangles and sew them together for completing the flowers like this. And then I need to cut 2 more of the larger squares. So I'm going to sew together one of these so we can see it completely finished, and then I'll finish up the other 2, get the rest of the cuts done as well. All right, so I have all 3 of the Murder at Yellowstone block 3 finished. So this is for my murder mystery quilt. So you can see I have 3 of these blocks. And like I said, I really like how the pattern lets you know how they'll all be oriented. So we'll have one that's turned this way, one that is turned this way, and one that is turned this way. So if you had directional fabric, you could make sure they were all in the right direction for your quilt. Now, I do want to say that the pattern also gives us a little bit of information on how we can applique a stem and leaves onto here. So putting a stem through here, coming from both flowers, and then little leaves on, and we are given the template for the leaves. I will likely add that on at some point later. I probably will do it when I get more of the blocks done so that I can kind of see what color might look best for doing the stem and the leaves. And I don't think it would take too long, so I think waiting a little bit would probably be best, just so I can make sure everything's balanced on the quilt. All right, you guys, let me know what you think of this block. I actually really do like this one. It was really hard to do the tiny, tiny, tiny half square triangles, but I think it still turned out pretty good. And with everything else in the quilt, I think it'll look really nice. All right, you guys, I will see you next time. Bye.